More than 10 years ago, when the term startups was still new in Japan, Fukuoka City was actually one of the first municipalities in Japan to declare itself a startup city. Since then, it has supported entrepreneurs and engineers side by side, learning from global ecosystem leaders. This photo shows the symbolic of the beginning. Many startups have emerged, not only in ICT and web field, but also in healthcare, environment, education, and childcare as well. Among them, one notable example is, sorry, okay. In 2014, Fukuoka City was designated as a National Strategic Special Zone, enabling more flexible regulations for startups. The city established Fukuoka Growth Next FGN. You can show the picture on the left side. A vibrant hub located in renovated 100-year-old elementary school. The school had closed due to population decline, but the building was reborn as a new base for entrepreneurs, turning a local challenge into an opportunity to create new industries. It's a beautiful symbol of connecting community, creativity, and innovation. And sorry, among the startups in Fukuoka cities, this is one notable example is Bethnal, which produce frozen ready-to-eat meals made from unutilized fish, which is one of the famous impact startup in Fukuoka, and which delivers them directly to household. The founder's grandfather was a fisherman, and the business was born from seeing local challenges firsthand, such as unstable income and discarded fish, turning them into opportunities that reduce food waste and support local livelihoods. So this is a history of Fukuoka's support for entrepreneurs, and the Ramentech began last year. Many startups in Fukuoka share a strong desire not only to grow their business, but also make a society better. Recognizing this, Fukuoka City is now focusing on supporting impact startups and encouraging founders to see that local issues can also be global challenges. This session is also part of the city's broad effort, and I'm honored to facilitate this discussion as part of that journey. Now, we've seen Fukuoka's journey and ambitions. Let's turn to our panelists from the UK and Korea and Japan to hear how impact startup ecosystem have developed in their countries and what lessons we can apply to Fukuoka as well. So first, I'd like to start with Dama-san from BGB. Dama, could you first briefly introduce yourself and your work at BGB, and then share with us how the impact startup ecosystem in the UK has evolved over time, and what roles BGB and the government has played in shaping it?
Thank you. Konnichiwa minasan. That's the extent of Japanese I can speak, so please bear with me for the next 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
My name is Dama, pronounced as she, her. I'm one of the partners at Bethnal Green Ventures, which is an early-stage impact fund based out of the UK. I am German, who happens to live in London despite Brexit. But it is, all those sort of political implications are hugely important to sort of consider what enabling environment we can build for startups to actually emerge, and what it also means for sort of globalization aspects as well. So taking startups from a very local concept to potentially high growth and high scale impact potential as well. But today we're just going to focus on, for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to talk about how Bethnal Green Ventures has sort of emerged from a very collaborative effort between government, civil society, and really hungry, scrappy entrepreneurs who just wanted to build really impactful businesses, and how the sort of ecosystem has evolved in the UK as well. Next slide. Just for context, we started out first investing as a fund pre-seed, so we purely focus on pre-product, pre-revenue businesses and take them up to Series A. But we started investing in 2012. Definitely with London Olympics, there was something in the water, because quite a lot of Better Society Capital, the JANPIA equivalent in the UK, also started in 2012, so there definitely was something in the water at the time. But our bigger universal mission is really focused on backing founders who have really great ideas around using technology to drive positive outcomes for people and planet. And we like to say it's serving for needs, not wants, which in particular local context and city context as well is incredibly important to think about what sort of problems in structural, social, environmental problems emerge that startups in local context can actually tackle, and how you then also think about the scaling aspect of it, because scale should not come at the expense of people and planet, but hopefully drives impact as well as profits. Next slide. This is just a really short overview in terms of what we've done over the past 13 years, but you can see that we have about 50 million assets under management, and the wider UK impact investing ecosystem is now said to have about 77 billion assets under management, which is roughly 8% of the global distribution of assets under management in impact investing globally. So it's a relatively tiny proportion, but makes all the more of an impact when we think about how we can create better enabling environments for startups to emerge in the very early stages as well. Next slide. I'll give you a brief history of how it's happened. So it actually happened before 2012. So one of the founders of Bethnal Green Ventures is an individual called Paul Miller. He and others were invited by the then Conservative government to a meeting to talk about how people in different cities in the UK could explore the potential of technology to actually address some pivotal social and environmental challenges. And again, it's important to note that this happened at the backdrop of a financial crisis in 2008. So there was a lot of engagement from government itself, particularly national as well as local government, to actually do something about some of the poverty, the loneliness, the sort of digital exclusion that was emerging from that space as well. And we're bringing a whole host of civil society actors together to just brainstorm a few ideas. And that's sort of where the idea of social innovation camps were born, which I refer to as the OG of hackathons. But that sort of expanded into 35 countries, and we were faced with the problem that a lot of the founders and a lot of the individuals who came to those hackathons really wanted to just quit their jobs and do this full time. So we built Bethnal Green Ventures, which is then the sort of acceleration program purely focused on social impact businesses. And out of those, we invested back in 2012 in 2 companies, Dr. and Fairphone, one of which we've now exited as well, to actually showcase that you can do good and you can do well. So you don't have to compromise or think about concessionary returns when it comes to investing into impactful businesses, but actually you can drive profit returns and impact as well. We've now sort of had a lot of government backing as well, most notably in 2023 to the British Business Bank, which is an anchor LP for most of the UK VC firms that exist, but it is a very lucrative sort of structure of actually being able to tap into more access to capital as a VC firm ourselves, but also enabling that access to capital to very early stage founders now. Next slide. Actually, we can skip this one. Sorry. I just want to highlight a really brief thing, and then I will hand over to Motoi-san next, or to Jeongtae-san as well. But when we had a prep call, we were also talking about some of the conditions that need to exist in order to actually create and nurture really thriving impact ecosystems. And in 2019, Nesta, which is a government think tank in partnership with other European institutions, actually published quite extensive research on what sort of conditions need to exist for that to happen under something which was called the Digital Social Innovation for EU initiative. They identified 6 core themes across sort of 32 indicators and made a comparison of 60 European cities to actually check what those conditions actually contribute to and how you can ascertain that this is a thriving ecosystem for startups to actually access capital, so through the funding means, to find the right talent, so to the collaboration aspect and skills, civil society to also have checks and balances in place, as well as infrastructure and diversity and inclusion, which for us as a tech for good investor is incredibly important, because ultimately if it's not diverse by design, it will be unequal by outcome. Next slide. And this is a very terrible picture, which you probably can't read, but there's a link to the notes as well. But these are the 32 indicators of that Digital Social Innovation Index, which you can still find on Nesta's website. Next slide. And it rated London as #1 out of 60 European cities, and it scored highest on 3 particular aspects, which I'll briefly talk about. But skills, collaboration, and infrastructure were the highest scoring indicators for London to come out first. And that was also part of BGV's work with, for example, the City of London to actually create a test bed for early procurement and innovation to happen across different London boroughs, which was called the Civic Innovation Challenge. Which then was replicated in many different European cities as well. But it's one of those pathways to think about how in different local contexts you can also create better ways for people to actually adopt different technologies much faster. The skills aspect was also around particularly furthering and advancing responsible AI approaches, for example, which now is more pertinent than ever. And collaboration really focused on government, civil society, representatives of the private equity and venture capital ecosystem actively working together on initiatives that would make it easier for startups to actually raise capital under different tax reliefs, for example. Next slide. And then we took some of the learnings from that to actually take to the whole of the UK, because obviously we are a London-based investor, but we do invest across the entirety of the UK, which is quite a large domain. But through the funding mechanisms that we have, so we run a program where we give 60K investment upfront for pre-product, pre-revenue businesses. And 60% of those come from outside of London as well. So we had companies in Edinburgh, in Bristol, in Newcastle, Manchester, all sort of smaller cities in the UK. But it's very exciting to sort of see that there's more of an approach to also reach, contextualize what sort of problems are pertinent in different cities and how you can apply them across the nation as well. I won't go through all of this, but these are just a few sort of examples of initiatives we've taken up as a firm to just contextualize how we can create those conditions for startups to thrive. And I'm very happy to talk about more of those in the discussion after. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dama, so much. Thank you for sharing your initiative and your journey so far. And next, I'd like to turn to Jeongtae Kim from MYSC. Jeongtae, could you share yourself and your initiative at MYSC and your initiative building startup ecosystem in Korea and also outside of Korea?
Thank you, Aiko-san. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jeongtae Kim from Korea. This is my second time visit to Fukuoka. I actually visited Fukuoka early this year and then happily coming back once again. And I'm also feeling honored to share some of our experiences as to the impact ecosystem in Korea, which might shed some light to Fukuoka that actually wants to be a capital city for impact businesses. Okay, can you see? Okay, let me just see this. Okay. Wait a second. Okay, here we go. Now you see, right? Okay. So our company called MYSC Media Social Company. We're also one of the B Corps and close friends of B Corp Japan movement as well. So let me focus on some insight as to how Korean impact ecosystem evolved over the 20 years. Let me just generalize how that actually went on, and then some of the recommended ideas for Fukuoka City to take a look at. So let me begin with my presentation by celebrating the special year between the two countries, Korea and Japan. This is actually marks the 60 years diplomatic anniversary between the two great countries. And actually, thank you. Yes, to celebrate. Okay, thank you. And then I came here with some of our colleagues over there. Please raise your hand. And we do have some souvenirs. Please come to us so that you have some stickers and badges and some souvenirs to celebrate this special year. Oh. Here we go. And then Sakai-san, the former McKinsey & Company, once wrote about us how we started as a very small company, like a 4 or 5, 2011, and now became the Asia's largest impact investor, also impact startup accelerator as well. So far, we invest in more than 250 investment across Asia, Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, Singapore, and now we are taking a look at Japan as a market as well. And we have an entity in Singapore, but also in Thailand, and we are in the process of creating our own entity in Japan, especially in Fukuoka, to help support the dream of Fukuoka City to make it a capital city for impact businesses. Blended financing, I think this is one of the key factors helping with the ecosystem, because equity alone could not make a huge difference. So the grant, debt financing, concessionary loans, whatever capital market they have could be brought to the ecosystem so that ecosystem can be sustainable. We run as many as 30 plus accelerating programs per year. So we target fintech, renewable energies, cosmetics, F&B, but social services as well. And this is so much important to start with diversification of the ecosystem, and then so that we support the whole market as well. Climate tech is just one of the focusing areas. So we invest in Korean startups, but also non-Korean startups, Indonesian, Vietnam, and Singapore as well. And this is our vision called Borderless Asia. And I think for this one, Korea and Japan should do more and more than before. And then we have a concept of Asia Impact Highway linking through Korea, Singapore, Thailand, and Japan. And once we join forces together and team up with each other, then we can actually do a further impact across Southeast Asia and Southwest Asia. And my colleague actually wrote an article today about how we can do together, sharing the same vision. And this is one of the projects as part of our commemorative project this year. together with Borderless Japan, actually headquartered in Fukuoka City. Based on blended financing project, we are now co-designing a scheme or initiative to serve startups in Bangladesh, Myanmar, and some of the Southwest and Southeast Asian companies going beyond just between Korea and Japan. So let me now talk about 4 steps behind Korea's early impact startup ecosystem. So the beginning was together with the government-driven initiatives. So they set the rules so that private sector and individuals and organizations, they could have some expectations as to what is coming in 1 year, 2 years, and 5 years. So that I think this is so much important. And I think this is what Fukuoka City, they said, right? They wanted to make Fukuoka City to become the capital city for impact businesses, the huge signaling. And then the Korean impact ecosystem started with NPOs and social enterprises, but incrementally, they also included social ventures, impact startups. Now we have many more corporations coming into scene by supporting but also investing in social impact businesses as well. And this added up to diversity and resilience within the ecosystem, so that even we see the changing of the government, even government can go and come and go, right? But we even with these changes, the ecosystem could be very much sustainable. The third step would be a marketplace and transaction. So all these stages, government and municipalities, they function as venture client, meaning they purchased services and products, technologies from those social enterprises and ventures so that they created the initial marketplace. The last one is the added accessibility to capital market. The now government put their money, capital, into impact investment fund, so that startups, impact businesses, they felt like, okay, there's some opportunity for them to receive the fund. So this is how the Korea's early impact startup ecosystem, they evolved. And lastly, let me point out 3 processes as to how Fukuoka also support the growth of impact ecosystem as well. I think everything should start with the upstream, meaning focusing more on social capital. When I say social capital, this is about trust and relationship capital. And without these intangible factors called trust and social capital, we can actually move on to the next stages, which is midstream. So only with social capital, then we can observe financial capital and non-financial capital as well. And when it comes to financial capital, I mean by grant, debt financing, investing as well. And when it comes to non-financial capital, it's something provided by intermediaries through their incubating, accelerating, and services as well. And once we are done with the midstream, then we can see downstream financial returns, non-financial returns as well, which is called outcome, by solving some of the societal, environmental issues. And then we can also see new market created, so that more other corporations, other players can coming in. And with this is my last page. So if you are at this downstream, then this is a time when we harvest outcomes, also reinvest resources onto upstream, so that you see the circulation, you see the sustainability in circle, so that now downstream can go back to the upstream, and then more social capital, and then we can have more midstream resources, opportunities coming up, and then downstream we can harvest more and more. So hope this could shed some light to Fukuoka City, and hope to also discuss some more ideas and ways to collaborate and to make a difference together. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeongtae. Thank you. You explained clearly how impact ecosystem has been evolved over time. Thank you so much. So next, move to Kawabata-san. Hearing both presentation from Dama-san and Jeongtae-san, could you share your thought on the importance of building locally ecosystem for impact startups.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much for having me to the Ramentech-Global Summit, which is my, I believe, first time to be here. And so, as Kozaki-san mentioned, I will share my observation, including my own introduction of myself and organization, in order to harness these beautiful presentation and narratives to the Japan's local place-based context as much as possible. So my name is Motoi Kawabata, and I am speaking on the behalf of Japan Social Innovation and Investment Foundation, which we call SIIF for short, to bring local Japan-based perspectives. So obviously, these are laments. Before we dive into the deeper discussions and arguments on the local impact startup ecosystem, I would like to quickly introduce you why localization is very important. As you can see, we need to localize the ramen if we want ramens to generate profit, alongside making people happier. The left one is vegan tantan men from Monohon Ramen in London, which is quite near to Dama-san's office actually. And to fit with the vegan lifestyle, which is prevalent in multicultural city like London. The center one is, of course, a spicy thin ramen, which comes from Korea, combining Korean food culture with soup noodles. And finally, the light one is one of the Japan's iconic tonkotsu ramen brand, which is originated in Fukuoka area. All the products as variants of soup noodles have managed respectful adaptations to local food cultures and its development to fit with markets and people's favor. This resonates with why the local-oriented, place-based impact ecosystem matters for combining economic values, also provide social impacts, especially if ramens are for needs rather than wants. This is my brief introduction. At SIIF, I lead research and development of systems change investing and utilization of catalytic capital, collaborating with the international and domestic practitioners and researchers, ultimately to envision impact economy where the economic value integrates with positive social change. So obviously, I don't come here to speak about the diversity of ramen, but to discuss why impact ecosystem matters to create purpose-driven market in local areas in Japan. Let me please start with introducing the overview of SIIF with 2 pages as quick as possible. SIIF started in 2017 to catalyze Japan's impact investing ecosystem as a spin-off foundation of the Nippon Foundation, Nippon Zaidan, which is Japan's largest private foundation. From an ecosystem building perspective, SIIF has 3 spheres of contribution to the industry. One is prototyping impact investing, so investing by ourselves to seek both profit and impact. And second one is engaging stakeholders to start impact investing. And finally, building the market in collaboration with mainstream financial institutions, VCs, and other financial actors. Yep. So in the local and place-based context, we have worked with many local municipality or place-based stakeholders, such as Nishiawakura Village in Okayama Prefecture, or Ueda City government, or Ueda City stakeholders in Nagano Prefecture, plus many other local level stakeholders. If we include social impact bonds project, we have worked really a lot in the past. So in 2022, SIIF took a significant leap into systems change, means to solve fundamental social challenges by influencing current social structures based on 5 years of experiences as an impact investing ecosystem builder in Japan. We now stand on 2 pillars. First one is systems change investing prototype trying to achieve to solve the complex issues of regional revitalization, inequality of opportunity, and third one is healthcare issues in Japan. Second pillar is the Impact Economy Lab, which is my home base where we co-learn and network with the global and domestic peers to keep updating our thinking for changing the real world systems. To bring some Japanese perspective into this discussion, I would like to share three perspectives, particularly 3 slides, on why place-based impact ecosystem matters to Dama-san and Jeongtae-san's points. First, place-based impact ecosystem will help change makers, entrepreneurs to invent solutions for marginalized issues such as population declining, inequality of opportunity, which are deeply rooted in Japan's social context and demographics. If place-based impact ecosystem can support local entrepreneurs, change makers, or even non-profit leaders alongside to test and scale their solutions by facilitating place-based information and networks and resources, including financial ones. Some people might point out local enterprises can only seize smaller market opportunities. However, developing successful cases in locals can be transferable solutions to prevent prevalent nationwide challenges, such as resource scarcities in rural areas. My second point is that place-based impact ecosystem can help harmonizing local context with the goal setting and support system for achieving both goals of impact and financial values. In suburban or rural areas, it might not be idealistic to expect rapid financial growth as megacities like London, Seoul, Tokyo. The local has its own expectation and time frame for future visions. To share one interesting approach from my own international research at SIIF, I would like to introduce the concept of place-based impact investing funds, which have been active movements in the local cities in the UK from the late 2010s, as long as I understand. Especially the case of the Bristol City funds can be a good food for thoughts for you all, because their attempt is to align the vision of Bristol City governments with portfolio management strategy to fulfill both economic success and health and sustainability of the city. So you can access to our research blog if you are interested in. This is my last slide. So having place-based ecosystem in specific areas like Fukuoka Prefecture or Fukuoka City is crucial to take full advantage of stakeholder proximity for collaboration. Compared to the metropolitan areas, the key stakeholders can be very visible, and this should be translated as a benefit of movements, coalitions, partnerships for expected change, or even beyond that. So to some, place-based impact ecosystem are very important to nurture key solutions for place-based challenges, as well as scaling them for transferable services to nationwide level, or even to different countries. Tailored goal setting and support systems, and finally, place-based stakeholder orchestration. This is quite brief of my observation based on my experience of working as an impact investing or impact market builder in Japan after hearing these excellent examples from UK and Korea. So yeah, thank you very much, and looking forward to nurture this discussion.
Thank you so much, Motoi-san. Maybe we all can understand why place-based impact ecosystem matters, and locally born solution might expand to the globally as well. Thank you so much. So maybe we have 7 minutes left. So let's move on to the question to all of them. So the first question in many countries, impact investors and key ecosystem players tend to concentrate in larger cities For example, when it comes to Japan, many players tend to concentrate in Tokyo. From your experience, what should be considered to place important ecosystem actors in regional areas as well? What are some successful factors or challenges or some suggestions or any comment are welcome? So maybe Dama-san?
Maybe just a brief comment from me because I feel like, Jeongtae, you have a lot more to contribute to this. I think what was helpful for us to sort of consider how we could support more regional cities in the UK was also just by starting reporting on it. So we, on an annual basis, we publish a learning and an impact report where we usually focus more on the sort of gender parity of our investment decisions, so how much money goes into female founder teams, how much money goes into mixed gender teams, and how much money goes into all male teams, which in the UK or in the world, sadly, is still only less than 3% goes into all women teams of VC money. So that's the sort of emphasis where we started on, but we've included a lot more factors around sort of regional diversity now. So we report on a location base of the founder's headquarters, not just where the company is registered, because it's an important sort of economic driver for the sort of local contribution to GDP, essentially, which makes a better case than to also advocate for better incentives in different local areas to basically go back to different councils and to just promote and advocate for better structures for founders. So we've done this type of work in Manchester, for example, where we had a huge proportion of tech for good startups emerge, but they had no incentives of actually having a place where they could collaborate more effectively, and as a result of surfacing those insights, we were able to lobby some of the existing co-working spaces to just create a space for tech for good startups, essentially, which was incredibly helpful because people needed to come together and work together and just have the serendipity of actually ideating and prototyping together as well, which seems very silly, but is an important aspect of entrepreneurs' lives. Yeah, so I would say starting with sort of baseline data and maybe also attaching some goals to it. So we've set ourselves a goal that we want to, at least in our pipeline of the deals that we look at, want to have at least 50% regional diversity from outside of London. And we continuously try to improve that number, but it is, yeah, if you don't set the number, then it's hard to sort of make that a goal.
Yeah, thank you, Dama. So maybe Jeongtae-san?
I would say there should be pipelines. You know, for example, MYSC, we invest in one startup out of more than 100 startups. So if there's one investment case, there should be at least 100 investable startups existing. And for these 100 investable startups to exist, there should be like 1,000 plus founders considering their incorporation in the region, right? So without these kind of pipelines, investors, they cannot coming in, right? So that there's a role for government, municipalities, and public institutions to support the founders at their early stages, right? So that they consider incorporating their companies, and then out of those, you know, pools, like 1,000, then there should be 100 plus investable companies. Then investors will screen them out, right? And then maybe pick up just one and two, and that actually signals back to the founders, the early stages. Wow, there's an investors coming into the local, so that why don't I actually make more efforts? So that's how the whole pipelines come in place.
Okay, thank you, Jeongtae-san. Pipeline is really important, I think. And Motoi-san?
Yeah, like having the, Dama-san's comment on incentives and Jeongtae-san's comment on pipelines, I think the, having the local-based impact ecosystem builders really important. So from my experience and Chief's experience, and I think it is very important to facilitate the flow of information and networks and resources, again, as I mentioned earlier. So that definitely helps founders to be connected to required resources to move their businesses activities to the next stage of their business as well as impact. So maybe probably one of the objectives of this session is to think about the role of the local stakeholders, including government and local larger family businesses, how they can support the local ecosystem. And in that case, like they can share some of the relevant network and resources and probably trust in order to facilitate the collaboration between local-based stakeholders. That comes to my mind after hearing to their comments.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, trust is also important as well. So maybe we might run out of time. So the last, if possible, I'd love to hear your advice to Fukuoka City, because of Fukuoka City, there are many impact startups in this area. So the city would like to do more things to help them. So do you have any comment to the city? So
so many comments. But I guess the importance is still around how to create that enabling environment for startups and for founders, but also do that in collaboration with different stakeholders, so also the people who will ultimately be using the different products and services that those startups are building. So I would love for Fukuoka City to actually spearhead an initiative where there is a co-design process of some sort possible, and that could essentially also be through something like a civic innovation challenge like we did in London, for example, because that enabled startups and the founders to actually prototype and test different ideas together, not just with local government, but also with their stakeholders, and then also access some funding to be able to test and try to scale that particular product or feature as well. And that's just such a novel approach to creating innovation test beds, which is incredibly important at such an early stage. So the DSI for EU index also has about 60 or 100 case studies of more than those 60 European cities, with different initiatives that have happened at a city and council level. So highly recommend also just reading some of the case studies and picking out the best.
So for me, locals are so important for new ideas, innovative ideas to be experimented and prototyped, because social enterprises has two models. The first one is business models. That's what we know for sure. So ordinary tech startups, they actually focusing only on business models. But when it comes to impact business, impact startup, they need something more than actually impact business models. That is stakeholder engagement model. And only at locals, impact startups, they can handle, they can actually know who are our stakeholders, how to engage stakeholders into their business models so that they actually arrive at the systemic change models. So I think that's what the local government, municipalities, and local public institutions can support by supporting engagement models, providing, for example, prototyping, as we mentioned, right? Because only the local can provide sandbox zones and opportunities. And with that scaled up, with that experimented solutions, that actually can go on and on to other regions and other locals as well. So I would say, I would like to highlight the importance of stakeholder engagement model, and that's what exactly the local government can do.
Yeah, mine is very easy. Let's act together for becoming test beds for impact investing, impact economy ecosystem. So see if you can share what, or even to at least discuss what it means to integrate purpose and profit. What is the difference from usual conventional sense of business, focusing on making money, profit, and how impact ecosystem matters for, as Jeongtae-san mentioned, place-rooted, place-based system to change, which every or many Japanese local suburban or rural municipality needs, considering the fact that population declining and inequality opportunities are very prevalent in Japan. So how to redesign the place-based systems in a way which minimize negative influence on the place-based systems, as well as enhancing the opportunities and possibilities to seize both possibilities for making impact as well as fair levels of financial value. So I wonder, some of you, it is really first time or even very few times to think about what does it mean to, supporting impact entrepreneurs, impact businesses. In that sense, I can say that impact business, impact economy kind of thing is revival or revision of Sampo Yoshi in Japan's very famous idea of integrating the positive influence for our company and stakeholders and the environment. So yeah, if you're interested, and SIIF is always a touch point for those who are interested in enabling impact economy. So thank you very much.